Elon Musk has another baby mama from MAGA influencer Ashley St. Clair, who I guess to be generous we could say is a 6.5, a 6 3/4, depending on the angle and the lighting and the filters that she's using, who has been grifting off of the MAGA movement for years, desperately trying to become rich and famous, and obviously hit the grifting Powerball. But that's not really the story, although it does tie into Elon Musk having at least 13 children that we know of. Most likely many others because he has women sign NDAs and leave his name off the birth certificates because he's a complete lunatic who sometimes uses in vitro fertilization in order to spread his seed around like Genghis Khan because he's concerned about the declining birth rates. And so his supposed solution is to impregnate a bunch of different women around the world and then really just never be in those children's lives and be a deadbeat dad. The story is similar to when countless conservative Inc. personalities and news outlets congratulated Dave Rubin and his husband on buying several babies who they're obviously raising without a mother in their lives and who will never even know their mother. This time, those same suspects are congratulating single motherhood and a child that unfortunately will live in a fatherless home, except for perhaps seeing Elon on television dancing around. Apparently, to Conservative Inc., the fatherless home problem is only a problem when it happens to the black community. And when it happens to white people, it's to be celebrated. She posted this announcement on Valentine's Day, likely in order to leverage more money out of Elon because they're still making a settlement because, well, they're not a couple. They just had a little fling that started when Elon slid into her DMs. 5 months ago, I welcomed a new baby into the world. Elon Musk is the father. I have not previously disclosed this to protect our child's privacy and safety, but in recent days it has become clear that tabloid media intends to do so regardless of the harm it will cause. I intend to allow our child to grow in a normal and safe environment. And for that reason, I asked the media to honor our child's privacy and refrain from invasive reporting. To which then, 24 hours later, she invited a tabloid, the New York Post, into her luxurious New York City high-rise apartment that costs up to $40,000 a month to tell them all about the whirlwind romance and show off what an incredible view she has from up there. And by the way, this Lea lacta est is Latin for the die is cast. You know, Elon likes to post these Latin catchphrases. Well, she is mimicking that. And in the comments, you can see there are countless conservative personalities who are congratulating the bastard child who's going to grow up without really having a father in their life. I mean, maybe once a year. James O'Keefe, congratulations, Ashley. Candace Owens, virtue signaling. Children should always be off limits. Journalists are parasites. Hard to imagine going through this with a young one. Well, we all know that, but I don't know why you need to virtue signal that. I'm pretty sure with Elon's security detail, she'll be just fine. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz responded saying, "This child has incredible genetics. Much love to this wonderful family." What family, Matt? There's no father in the picture, sir. Libs of TikTok weighed in with her support. Same with Alex Stein, Linda Yaccarino. Carrie Lake is so happy for her to, again, be raising a child without a father. And by the way, this may not have just been a little fling. Ashley St. Clair is something out of a horror movie and may have been calculating this for years. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if she picked up the condom on the floor and then after Elon was sleeping, turned it inside out and shoved it back inside of her in order to make this happen. There's Benny Johnson's producer, ALX. God bless you and your family. Again, ALX, what family? Oh, by the way, these tweets that are muted are from her. I had to mute her because she just kept showing up in my feed, even though I've never followed this creature in my life. Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, and many more are just thrilled. If you're not familiar with Ashley St. Clair before she became a MAGA grifter, she tried to grift off of the simps, as the kids say on the internet, by, how shall we say, selling explicit content under the Twitter handle of Sex Laptop and make posts like this, which you'll just have to read for yourself. And this is her brand of conservatism. This is what a brilliant political analyst she is. This is her during the 2016 election cycle.
The right's losing elections because of this identity politics. So like in Colorado, the biggest issue among Republican voters is immigration. You know how many illegal immigrants we have here?
Thousands and tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, actually.
Like 12. Not literally,
right.
We don't. It's not an issue, but that's the top issue among Colorado Republican voters, and the top issue among Democrats is education, things that actually matter. And so they're just screwing themselves over with this identity politics and build the wall, and this is all we care about.
Yeah, Republicans are just screwing themselves over by being concerned about the illegal alien invasion. And some will say, oh, well, she was just young back then. She was just getting into politics. She was just getting out of the OnlyFans grift and getting into the MAGA e-girl grift. Well, here she is demanding that YouTube censor content that is critical of the OnlyFans floozies.
Andrew Tate's not the problem, because if you take Andrew Tate away, you still have this massive group of young men who were clinging to that message on shows like the Whatever podcast. They're bringing them on for this humiliation porn. Why is all of this content allowed on YouTube?
Why are these YouTubers allowed to ridicule the OnlyFans girls? I used to do it, and look at me now.
YouTube, who has been, at the forefront of we need to protect those who are, a protected class. And women typically fall into that class. So why all of a sudden is all of this content allowed on YouTube that is terribly misogynistic, that's terribly degrading to women, when I don't think that would have been allowed, years ago?
Why are conservatives allowed to criticize feminism on YouTube? But while the so-called conservative grifters are celebrating the situation, leave it to comedian Louis C.K. to post the most insightful response, saying, I'm sorry that this needs to be said. I don't care if you save the world, make billions, and are the smartest person on the planet. If you have children with multiple people, do not have the time to raise them and be full part of their life, you are a piece of bleep, period. No further explanation needed. Rapper Bryson Gray noted, I've never seen conservatives this passionate about defending single motherhood. It's almost as if none of those values were real. A few others noted the strange situation, like this guy who asked, why are conservatives celebrating single motherhood now? Do conservatives know how to conserve anything? And this woman who said, if you think a man can be a present father to over a dozen kids across 4, possibly 5 different women, households, you have a really low bar for what a present father is. And a big shout out to Jeremy from The Quartering, who's not really a conservative, but has some conservative values and has been calling out these hypocrites and digging up some of Ashley St. Clair's old tweets, like this one, where she noted, there is no sin as cruel as alienating a child from a parent. Seeing so much of this everywhere. Yeah, like in the mirror. And this one Jeremy dug up, where she posted back a couple years ago, Kamala can't help herself from bending over for a man to get ahead. And this one from a few years ago, when she celebrated Vivek for calling out the system for financially incentivizing single motherhood. Well, obviously, nobody in the entire world now has a bigger incentive than her. And this tweet from a few years ago has many people suspecting that she may have been plotting this for several years when she responded to somebody pointing out that Elon already has kids. And she says, well, actually, he has 7 and goes through women pretty fast. Elon responded to that post, marking the breaking of his silence. So he didn't acknowledge or deny that the child is or is not his. He just responded to that post with one word. The billionaire reacted with a whoa on X while responding to a post suggesting the 26-year-old had been planning for 5 years to have his child. She then responded to that and then later deleted this post saying, Elon, we have been trying, meaning her and her lawyers obviously, been trying to communicate for the past several days and you have not responded. When are you going to reply to us? Instead of publicly responding to smears from an individual who just posted photos of her, she says, in her underwear from years ago when she was posting selfies of herself in that attire on websites trying to, well, you know what. But it's quite shocking how some of the conservatards out there, like this guy who I've never even heard of, but apparently he's trying to get into that inner circle, said that Ashley St. Clair won at life. And it's sad to see people hate. He thought that we were supposed to encourage people to have babies. But speaking of conservative grifters, we have to go back to Mike Cernovich for a minute, who built his brand off of claiming that he's a mind coach and a success strategist.
I made my money years ago on books, right? I wrote a best-selling book. Most of you people don't even know that I did this.
That's because your book, which is a whopping 172 pages and riddled with spelling errors, was a, quote, bestseller in a sub category, which anybody could do by selling a few hundred copies, which I'm sure you did. But I'll get into how Mike Cernovich made his money in a moment. But first, tell us, Mike, being a leader in the conservative movement, how should we have resisted the COVID lockdowns and mask mandates?
Wear a mask. I wear a mask. Not because I'm afraid of coronavirus, but because I think you should be polite. People are freaking out. It's not a big deal. Just wear the mask.
Well, I would expect such cuckery from a man who made his millions of dollars from divorcing his ex-wife, who worked at Facebook when they had their IPO. And as part of their divorce settlement, he walked away with 7 figures.
Shauna is my second wife. My first marriage didn't work out. My ex, she would try to control me a lot. She's a very controlling person. And I'm not somebody who likes to be controlled at all. People now claim that I get alimony from my ex-wife.
Oh, they claim it all right, because what else would you call a 7-figure divorce settlement?
If you're dependent on your ex-wife, that doesn't match with everything you preach.
That's what they say, but you claim to be some kind of alpha male. I'm like, well, it's pretty alpha to get paid alimony by a woman, isn't it? How many men? Well, and then they stumble.
What an absolute loser. You can see that he's afraid to directly admit it, but he also won't directly deny it because he knows that it's part of the public record. Let's check in with Mike's YouTube channel. This is a guy who claims to be one of the most influential people in politics, where he's accumulated a whopping 76,000 subscribers. And look at his latest interview, conducted with none other than Jack Murphy. I'm not kidding. I'm not even going to get into who Jack Murphy is if you don't know. You don't want to know. This is a guy who is a literal cuck, who is or was a webcam guy where he would stick things in places they don't belong for his gay audience. Like, you just don't even want to know. So, of course, Mike Cernovich, being a leader in masculinity in America, is it a partner with him? I'm tired of all of these people. You know what the proper response is when a floozy lands the grifting Powerball and gets knocked up by the world's richest man? The correct response is to either say nothing or to just point out how twisted and sick that is. And again, this is a woman who posted on Valentine's Day alleging that she was trying to stop the tabloids from invading her privacy, only to then invite a tabloid into her house and then spill the beans on the whole thing. I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And if you want to support an OG YouTuber who's truly independent and tired of the conservative ink clowns, then head on over to my online store, markdice.com, and get yourself a Liberal Tears mug. Some of my awesome shirts, like the MAGA Mafia shirt, the classic Liberalism Find a Care shirt, War is a Racket, or any of my awesome designs, all available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.